For what purpose does the gentleman from Kentucky seek recognition?
Madam Speaker, I have a motion to recommit at the desk.
Is the gentleman opposed to the bill?
I am in its current form.
The gentleman qualifies. The clerk will report the motion.
Mr. Barr of Kentucky moves to recommit the bill, H.R. 9, to the Committee on Foreign Affairs with instructions to report the same back to the House forthwith with the following amendment. At the end of the bill, add the following new section, Section 6, effective date. This act shall take effect on the date that the President certifies that meeting the nationally determined contribution of the United States under the Paris Agreement will not result in a net transfer of jobs from the United States to China.
The House will be in order. Members, the House will be in order. The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Madam Speaker, this is the final amendment to the bill. It would not kill the bill or send it back to committee. If adopted, the bill would immediately proceed to final passage as amended. This motion makes a small but important change to the bill, a change that is necessary to preserve the economic strength of the United States. The amendment simply states that the act shall not take effect until the President certifies that the United States will not, on net, lose jobs to China as a result of meeting the emissions commitments required under the Paris Agreement. If, as the majority believes, the Paris Agreement will improve America's economic and technological competitiveness, this should not be a problem. Madam Speaker, I do not disagree with my colleagues that climate change is a problem that this nation and other nations need to address. In fact, I believe it's important that we continue to have discussions about serious solutions on how to mitigate these risks through American innovation, conservation, adaptation, and preparation. But, Madam Speaker, H.R. 9 is not a serious solution to these problems. The truth of the matter is, the Paris Agreement would hurt our economy, cost millions of American jobs, weaken our sovereignty, and put us at a disadvantage among international competitors, especially China. My home state of Kentucky relies heavily on fossil fuels, and the coal industry provides our state with thousands of jobs and delivers over 83%.
In order. The gentleman may proceed.
The coal industry in Kentucky provides our state with thousands of jobs and delivers over 83% of our power. This enables Kentuckians to enjoy some of the lowest cost electricity rates in the country. And Kentucky is not the only state that relies on carbon-based fuels for its energy. Nationally, our energy mix is made up of about 80% fossil fuels, as compared to only 5% intermittent and unreliable sources such as solar and wind. Let's think about the feasibility of hitting the goals outlined in the Paris Agreement to cut greenhouse emissions by 26 to 28% by 2025, or to push the debate even further, those goals outlined in the Democrats' other climate proposals, such as the Green New Deal, to eliminate fossil fuels completely. A proposal that just yesterday every member of the majority voted against bringing up for debate. That's because the Green New Deal is nothing more than an absurd socialist fantasy that would devastate our economy. As policymakers, our goal should not be to embrace at all costs the most green energy. Our goal should be to promote the best energy, the most effective energy, the most reliable energy, and the most affordable energy. Now, despite massive technological advances and innovations, any drastic move away from fossil fuel consumption is dangerous. It would mean increased energy prices and decreased reliability. Household electricity expenditures would increase up to 20%. It would mean manufacturing and energy-intensive jobs moving offshore. On average, we would see a shortfall of nearly 200,000 manufacturing jobs and 400,000 jobs overall. It would mean economic decline and stagnation in communities, yielding an aggregate GDP loss of over $2.5 trillion and a total income loss for a family of four of over $20,000. It is only common sense that we ensure that these economic outcomes will never come to fruition before entering into this agreement, which is what this simple amendment would do. Remember, between 2000 and 2014, the United States reduced greenhouse gas emissions by 18% without being subject to any international agreement. We should continue to focus on reducing emissions, developing and exporting clean coal technologies, and making our communities more resilient. But 1,000 more pages in the Federal Register will not change the weather. Scientific and technological innovation fueled through free enterprise can. Finally, if we want to be serious about a global solution to climate change, we need to address the world's largest carbon emission offenders who have refused to meet the agreement's goals. This agreement fails to address those real polluters. China, the #1 country in the world for greenhouse gas emissions, is perhaps our greatest strategic economic adversary. It is a nation that has been growing in manufacturing and industrial dominance. Under the Paris Agreement, China has been allowed to increase emissions until 2030. This gives China a leg up. They'll spend that decade stealing our jobs. That hits people in my district the hardest. It hits those who can least afford it. As we confront China economically, we must be sure our environmental goals do not put us at a strategic disadvantage or force us to commit economic self-destruction. We must ensure that our policies do not raise electric rates and drive energy-intensive businesses offshore. And we must make sure that China, with its rapacious appetite for dominating all industry and sweeping efforts to steal U.S. ideas, does not have new reasons to take advantage of American workers.
The gentleman's time has expired.
Madam Speaker, socialism and central planning never will
gentleman's
solve
time
the
has
problems of the
expired.
human race. Vote yes on the motion to recommit.